and then share my screen with you guys so that you all can see the presentation here about our YouthWorks trip 2020. What are we in? 2021. Woo! All right. So most of you guys, I think everybody who's on here has either been on or had their child's been on a YouthWorks mission trip. This summer, we're heading out to Logan, West Virginia, June 6th through the 11th. So we're actually week 1 of YouthWorks, which is kind of nice. That week is not quite full yet, but I know that there are at least 2 other groups currently signed up to be joining us that week in Logan, West Virginia. As you all know, YouthWorks 5-day service experience for, we're going to only be, this site is actually high school only, so there's not going to be any junior high students at it. And YouthWorks is located all over the United States. It is interdenominational approach to mission work, which I really like. I like having other groups there in different faiths, and we've had some amazing conversations that has come about because of it. In Logan itself, we're actually pretty blessed. There is the New Covenant Fellowship Church there in Logan, who has basically converted their old school site or their old religious ed site classrooms into housing. So there are showers on site, there are beds on site, and there is AC on site, which we normally don't get those 3 things. That is a complete trifecta. So we will not have to stay on air mattresses this year. We will actually be in beds, which will be spread 6 feet apart, and we'll get to that just here in a few minutes about the changes with our bedrooms and the bunks and all that good stuff. But this site is really great. I talked to Mandy Kumler, who's been there. She and St. Aloysius in Pewee Valley went there a couple years ago, and apparently it is a very, very nice site. And YouthWorks has been working in this community for many, many years, and so the community there is very supportive and receptive to YouthWorks being there and serving within the community. It was a huge hit to the local volunteer community this past summer when there weren't trips there. So they really rely upon and depend upon the YouthWorks volunteers to be serving out in the community. How we'll get there, we'll do our best to spread out in personal vehicles. Having 2 or 3 personal vehicles, and then the adults, obviously, who are driving will all have background checks on file. They will all, as well, have gone through safe environment, and they must be 21 years of age or older to drive and be one of the adults on this trip. With that said, I know there's concerns with COVID of getting the group in the cars, and we're going to talk about how we COVID-proof the trip. But I am going to ask our young people when we're in the cars, especially, for most of the trip, but we'll be wearing masks, but especially in the cars, it is a small confined space, and I think that's one of the best ways that we can deal with it. We'll do our best, though, to spread out in vehicles, depending on how many people we have going with us and how many adults we have driving. Our plan is to meet at St. Michael on June 6th at noon, and then we'll get back on the 11th around 3 p.m. It's about 4 hours and 15 minutes to Logan. Without any stops. If we have to make stops, we absolutely will do that. That's not a problem at all. If someone needs to use the restroom, but it's about a little over 4 hours there to New Covenant from St. Michael itself. So not too long of a trip, definitely doable in a morning or in an afternoon. And so that should be good. Just some highlights and things about YouthWorks that are a little bit different. In terms of packing, you'll get the full packing list once we get closer to the event. But just a few reminders that for both guys and girls, shirts have to have sleeves on them. Shorts have to be fingertip length. They don't allow yoga pants, so I would suggest going to Goodwill or somewhere like that to get jeans if you need some work jeans, or the shorts as long as they're fingertip length. And closed-toed shoes are required for the work sites. We are asking folks to leave their electronics at home. I'll have my phone on me that folks can always reach us at. I'll be posting tons and tons of pictures on social media. One of the things I want to do this year as well is to get some small witness talks from folks who are there, just talking about the impact that the trip is having on them, and getting that on social media as well for the year. The rest of it will be very typical stuff in terms of you'll need a blanket and pillow and or a sleeping bag, a towel, all that good stuff. But I wanted to make sure to highlight those differences, especially for the girls. These are YouthWorks trips, so we want to honor them because we are on the YouthWorks. It is their trip, and so being in their world, we're going to respect their rules and their regulations with those different things. I do know that not last summer, but the summer before that, we did have a few folks. I think somebody wore yoga pants one day and they were asked to go change. So just making sure we're being aware of those different things with YouthWorks and their rules and regulations. I'll also send out, I know you guys have my phone number, but we always make sure the parents have it before the trip as well. The trip itself this year got bumped up a little bit because YouthWorks increased their trips by about $50 a trip. So I didn't quite increase our money by $50. I tried to keep it as cheap as I could, but the total cost is going to be about $415 a person for this trip. There are a few ways. Unfortunately, we don't have any group fundraisers that we're able to do. I know that a couple of people, I know Nora, you had some money left over from 2020. It wasn't much, but it was a little bit, at least to be able to help out. The packet, this packet, the YouthWorks packet, mission trip packet, is available on our website at smym.org. And the last page of that is the bottom part of the screen there, that mission trip bingo. It's got the numbers 1 through 25 on it. And one of the ways that folks have helped to fundraise the money for their trip in the past is to use this group bingo board. And what you do is to go up to someone and say, hey, would you mind giving me $1 to help get me to on my mission trip this summer? We're going to serve in Logan, West Virginia. And they're like, yeah. And they give you $1 and you cross off the $1. And if you do that for the numbers 1 through 25, and my math is correct, that'll get you $325. So it doesn't quite get you all the way up to that 415, but that is a good chunk of it. And I want to say, and I hope you guys have heard me say this multiple times, don't ever let cost keep you from doing something. I will move mountains if I need to make sure that the cost is there for you guys. So we want everybody who wants to go, we want to be able to take you on this trip with us. So that is a little bit of a cost increase this year, but not as significant as what YouthWorks has done for us as far as the overall cost. In Logan itself, we'll be doing some small repairs and painting, some cleaning up. There's a thrift shop there that they have traditionally helped with. Most of our projects with this site are going to be outdoor repair painting projects. They're really trying to keep folks out of homes as much as possible, not just to protect us, but also to protect the people there in the community that they're serving. So we're going to be outdoors as much as possible, as much as the weather will allow, and as much as the sites will allow as well. So I don't know exactly the projects. I'll have those usually about 2 to 3 weeks out. YouthWorks will give me a shout and say, hey, here are our projects for this year. We hope that you're up for these, and then we'll divide them up once we get to the site itself. The normal schedule, you guys kind of know this because you've been a part of YouthWorks trips, but we'll get there on Sunday. We'll arrive, we'll have dinner. There will be skits, there will be rules, all that good stuff. We'll have some church time that night as well, along with the large group. And then Monday to Thursday are pretty much the same schedule in terms of waking up, morning Devo time. We'll be serving out in the community from 9 to 3. Then some showers back at the center that we're staying at. And then dinner, our evening activity. They're still working on the evening activities for this site. In the past, they said that there's a nature preserve that they've gone to and kind of spent some time there. But they are working on some more evening activities that are, again, COVID friendly outside. So I'll have more details on that as well when they give me the call. And then we'll have the gathering, which used to be called LGG, which is where we'll gather together as a group. and have that time to process the day a little bit. We'll spend some time together there in church group, go to bed, and then do it all again in the morning. So that's kind of a normal day in the life of a worker on these trips. The normal youth ministry rules apply with this crew. I know I don't really have to go over them, but drugs and alcohol obviously are a trip home. Leave those at home, all right, Smith? No purple.
What did you just tell me? What was I told not to bring?
Drugs or alcohol.
I'll try my best.
Yeah, I know.
This was recorded. That was a joke. Don't listen to me.
You know, you may find somebody you like, you may find somebody you love on the trip, which is great. But we're going to ask you to not be holding hands or making out or any of that good stuff on the trip. That's rare. Hopefully not when you get back. But you know, you might spark some interest or whatever. No girls in the boys' housing, boys in the girls' housing, all that good stuff. You're not going to be asked to drive to New York because we're in West Virginia, but to West Virginia to pick up your student with drugs or alcohol or opposite gender. The rest of the rules, you guys know, you've been on multiple of these trips, so I don't need to get into it too much. Here's where things start to change. This year, instead of doing, normally you guys have the YouthWorks forms, you have our permission form, and all that has to get turned in to me. Then I have to make 2 copies, and we take it with us on the site and all that good stuff. This year, YouthWorks has actually moved all of their permission forms online. So when you sign up, when you put your $50 deposit in on our website, you're going to get an email from me, and it's going to have 2 links. It's going to have the YouthWorks site, so you'll literally go right on there and register your student right away onto the YouthWorks website itself. Okay. The other one is our permission slip from St. Michael has moved online as well. We started that this past year, and we're going to continue that practice as well. So there's now a 2021, 2022 permission slip online for St. Michael Youth Ministry. And the link will be in that sign up email as well. Once you register for the trip, you'll get both of those. I do have access to the YouthWorks site, so I can send gentle reminders if we're getting closer to the trip and folks haven't gotten those things turned in. One of the results of the pandemic this year has been that they are asking for things earlier than they've asked for them in the past, because there's different protocols and stuff that they're getting set up when they head there. So yes, we're going to try and get those things in as soon as we can. Any questions on that, on cost or paperwork or anything that we've gone over so far?
You know us so well, turning our stuff in early.
I know. All right. Here are the big changes. So one of the things that YouthWorks is trying to do is what they're calling COVID proofing the trip. And the idea behind it is that we know there's no way that we can take the chance down to 0% that you're not going to get COVID on this trip, right? There's always the possibility anywhere you go that you could get it. But they are doing their best to take that risk down to 0 as best they can. So one of the ways they're doing it is they're going to ask everyone going on the trip to have a negative test within 3 or 4 days of the trip before we leave, okay? And in doing so, they're hoping as well that you will kind of self-quarantine as much as possible at home before the trip to limit your exposure. Along with that, there is this other sheet that I'm going to share with you guys now that is called their COVID symptom tracker. And you can see it there. Each one of us is going to get one of these sheets. I'm going to send it out to you guys via snail mail before the trip, about 2 weeks out. And it every day asks you questions to make sure that you're not experiencing any symptoms of COVID. One of the things they're asking is that you just please, please, please be open and honest about those things, because they want to make sure everybody's safe. So, you know, they're going to ask you, do you have any symptoms? What's your temperature? And all that good stuff, starting 10 days out. And then you can see here, it goes all the way through the trip itself. So every one of us is going to have our COVID tracker on the trip. We'll be filling it out every day, making sure that we don't have any symptoms. We will be doing temperature checks on the trip to make sure that no one has a temperature, as well as monitoring, obviously, any symptoms that someone might have. So this is one of the big changes and ways that they're trying to really COVID-proof the trip as best as humanly possible in our current environment. We're also, some of the other changes is that we are going to be basically sticking together as a group for the entire trip. So there may be 2 or 3 St. Michael's small groups, but they will all be small group. We won't be mixing and mingling on work sites as we're serving, as we're eating, as we're traveling. We're going to be together as a St. Michael pod, if you think of it that way, or a small group. Our rooms will only be St. Michael students. So we'll have a girls' room that is only St. Michael students, a boys' room that is only St. Michael students. And because of that, the number of people they can take on each site is down. It's about half of what they would normally take on each YouthWorks site. The beds are spaced 6 feet apart because that is one of the times that you won't be asked to wear a mask is when you're sleeping. So the beds are spaced 6 feet apart. And our meal times will either be just our church group, or we'll be sitting with our church group kind of in an area, and then there'll be other areas for the other groups. And we'll eat and hang out outside as much as we possibly can. And what that looks like practically is, here is kind of the diagram. They have lots of fun diagrams if you want to dive into them on their website, but kind of the normal YouthWorks dining room there, a bunch of tables lined up, right? Everybody crowded around the tables, all that good stuff. This year, it's going to be way down. Like I said, it's going to be about half the amount of students and adults at each site. And so you can see there how they kind of have different spots set up where folks can be sitting socially distanced apart and eating. We may have to do things in shifts, depending on how many students and adults are at the site and the size of the cafeteria. But they're going to do their best to keep us socially distanced, especially since we won't be wearing masks at meal times, and to keep us with our crew that we've been in vehicles with. So that's one of the big changes. The second is the sleeping rooms. You know, normally we're kind of squeezed in there, air mattress to air mattress, all the way around the room, right? This year, they're going to make sure the beds are always 6 feet apart from everybody else. And again, we're just going to be in a room with just St. Michael's people. In the gathering space, the big gathering space, LGG, or I can't remember, whatever they call it now, is the gathering. That's what it is, Caroline. Don't laugh at me. The gathering.
If you read the title, it says typical gathering room.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
That's the word actually.
So the gathering space there, you can kind of see how the groups are sitting together as pods. That'll be how they'll be spaced out as well. They are planning on doing those gatherings, if possible, weather permitting, outside. It's early June in West Virginia, so it should still feel pretty good outside during those times. So those are kind of the big programmatic changes, as well as the changes as far as keeping everybody safe for COVID. We got the email actually this afternoon that said that they were going to require everyone to get a COVID test. They are asking if you come in contact with anyone within that 10-day window before the trip who has COVID, that you quarantine and you don't go on the trip unless you have had the vaccine. And in that case, if you had both rounds of your vaccine and you're 2 weeks out from your last inoculation date, then you won't have to, which follows the CDC guidelines. So know that I have had my vaccination, and I don't know, who the other adults will be going with us yet, but we'll be looking at those things. I do know the governor said if I think it's April 21st, he's opening up for folks 16 and older. If you feel comfortable, I'm not telling you have to get it, all that good stuff. But again, that's just another way to potentially keep you safe on this trip. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the way, and you all know, to sign up is going online to the website and signing up there. which you can get to from the St. Michael Youth Ministry website, which is smym.org, and sign up online. Currently, we have 10 spots, which I think is probably where I'm going to keep it. 10 youth spots and 4 adult spots for this trip. We probably won't add too many more because the site isn't, like I said, they're not huge this year. And I think having a smaller group is going to be a little bit easier in the long run. So let me pause there and just ask if you guys have any questions or comments, concerns. I know it's a new adventure for a mission trip in the midst of COVID. So, but do you all have any questions?
Did you make a comment about if we've been vaccinated?
Yes. So if
you said something interesting and we both were distracted. Sorry.
Oh,
shocker. I know.
Yes. If you've been vaccinated, basically YouthWorks is following CDC guidelines. So if you've been vaccinated fully, so you've gotten your second shot and you've waited that 2 weeks afterwards, and you come in contact with someone before the trip, you don't have to quarantine because the likelihood of you catching it is so low. But if you have not had the shots and you are in contact with someone 10 days out from the mission trip, they are going to ask you not to go on the trip. So,
regardless of vaccination, you still have to have a negative test, correct?
Yes, yes. Regardless of vaccination, they're still asking for negative tests, which I'm okay with. It seems smart to me just to make sure that everybody's good to go. So
thank you.
And
Mom got tested a few weeks ago and still doesn't have results, so just don't go where she went, I guess.
Right. And that's a good question though, Caroline. And know that I am doing it on the honor system. I don't think I'm going to take anybody who's untrustworthy on this trip. So the YouthWorks is not requiring us to show the negative test. I'm just going to take everyone's word that they have done that. I think that's the only fair way I can do it. I know there's HIPAA violations and stuff in there too that I don't want to have to worry about. So I'm just going to rely on folks and trust them to say, yes, we've done that. And we're good to go. And again, it's just about keeping everybody safe. The folks who are on the trip with us, the folks will be serving there in the community. That really is priority number one, is trying to keep everybody safe. And know that YouthWorks took this model from the American Camping Association, who many camps ran last summer. And it was like, I forget, it was in the high 90s in terms of the number of camps who made it through last summer, knock on wood, without any issues whatsoever with COVID, as long as folks followed protocol. Usually the camps who had COVID issues, a counselor decided to go visit a girlfriend or whatever on the weekend and brought it back to camp with them, and they didn't follow their protocol. So yeah, any other questions or comments, concerns? Okay. Well, I have, you guys know how to get a hold of me. I'm always happy to answer questions. If I don't know them, I will ask YouthWorks for sure. I have opened the portal for both this as well as NCYC for next year. I've opened signups for both of those online. And we do have an NCYC parent meeting on Thursday night this week from 6 to 7. It'll most likely be 20, 30 minutes again. Not too long, but there are some COVID protocols with that we have to talk about. So if no one has any questions.
I have one quick question.
Yes.
I have a friend that goes to school with me, but she's not obviously a parishioner at St. Michael. Can she go on a mission trip?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, as long as right age group, they're totally welcome to go with us. And I'm happy to have them join us. Like I said, I don't know any other fair way to do it other than the first 10 who sign up or the 10 that get to go. I wish I knew a better way, but that's all I know. So feel free to share this video with them too. I'll throw this out on social media and on the YouTube channel. So
thank you.
Okay. Caroline doesn't have any questions.
Mom says she thought she signed me up for this, but that just opened today. So I'm trying to figure out what she signed me up for.
I have no idea.
And apparently I'm an adult, so I can sign my own papers.
Yes.
Raz doesn't have to be my father anymore when I forget to sign things. Or she.
Yes, you can. You are 18 years old and can sign your own papers now, Caroline. So
You didn't sign them again with Fries always did, actually.
we're
Majority of
recording
the
this.
time.
We're recording this, Caroline.
I mean, my mother always signed my stuff and we always turn it in on time and we're the best about that.
That's right.
But I'm 18 now, so it doesn't matter. Don't look at my past.
We have other gifts.
That's right.
Do we?
That's right.
I wonder what it was.
Was it that?
Maybe it
All
was
right.
Well,
Well,
if I'm signed up for something, let me know because, you know,
yes.
I'm 18, but my mom still signs me up for things apparently.
I will look
I
will look and let you know if you are signed up. I'll give you a text message and let you know for sure. So that's easy enough. But
I asked her if it was recent. She said since the pandemic.
so in
I'm
the last
sorry.
year,
I
she
really-
signed you up for a mission trip at some point in time.
I really cannot.
Uh,
Yeah, me too.
all right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here and for listening. And like I said, if you do have any questions, just let me know. Caroline, you are not signed up for this mission trip. No one is signed up currently. So 10 spots are open. But all right. Well, you guys have a great evening. And like I said, if you need anything, let me know.
Thanks, Fraz.
Thank
You're welcome.
you.
Bye, guys.